Oggi si celebra la giornata della Terra. Esorto tutti a vedere il mondo con gli occhi di Dio Creatore. La terra è l'ambiente da custodire e il giardino da coltivare. La relazione degli uomini con la natura non sia guidata dall'avidità, dal manipolare e dallo sfruttare, ma conservi l'armonia divina.
That's the Pope celebrating Earth Day, talking about saving the planet and protecting the planet. Joining us now is Reverend Robert A. Sirico, president of the Acton Institute, acton.org. And Reverend, pleasure to have you, sir.
Good to be with you.
All right, there's a lot of talk, a lot of anticipation about, and your group certainly has expressed their unhappiness, I believe, with Pope Francis's coming encyclical on the environment and what really,
Actually,
I guess, would be climate change.
We have expressed an unhappiness. In fact, the words that the Pope just spoke were exactly the things that I've been saying. I don't know if you had it subtitled, but what the Pope was speaking about there was that we must see the world from the eyes of God, and that He has placed us in a garden that we have a responsibility to cultivate and not merely manipulate. That this is our environment, that there should be a harmony between the divine and the earthly. And those are all things that I think very much represent Western civilization, basic conservative values with regard to ecology. There might be some debate over the science and stuff, but I'm not a scientist, and by the way, neither is the Pope, about climate change and stuff. But if the Pope says that, I'm very happy with it.
Well, the Archbishop of, a Peruvian Archbishop has said that the Pope must prepare himself for criticism when the encyclical on the environment is published. So at least he is anticipating some backlash. And, you know, again, climate change is something that many people believe has always occurred. I mean, in the 70s, they were predicting the coming ice age. A few years back, maybe 5-6 years ago, Barbara Boxer was on the floor of the U.S. Senate saying, we're never going to have ski resorts anymore because there's no snow. And now, of course, we've seen winters that have been brutal. So, I mean, again, the argument is, how much of this is man responsible for, and how much restriction should be put on businesses and individuals, and how much tax really should they pay, a so-called carbon tax, to stop climate change if they even can. So I think however the Pope weighs in, it's going to be looked upon in that light.
Well, being looked upon and having said something are two different things, aren't they? I don't know whether Cardinal Cipriani, who's the Archbishop of Peru, of Lima, has read the encyclical. I do know that he is not going to pronounce specifically on the ski resorts in California, and I'm not at all sure that he's going to weigh in on the science. I think that he would be ill-advised if he's going to weigh in on the specifics of climate change. I think what he will emphasize is precisely what he said in those opening words, that is that this is a garden. It's not a wilderness. It's a garden, which means that human beings must cultivate it. And to your point about economy, I think you're dead right. The way in which we normally cultivate the world is through the business economy. The needs of the poor are met precisely by business people acting in rational ways that make use of the resources, that is to say, cultivate the resources of the world for the benefit of the human family. There are a lot of debates that we can have about the extent of government regulation over the economy, and I'm probably with you on this. I think the more bureaucrats and politicians control this stuff, the deeper the mess we get ourselves into. So I think understanding that human beings are part of this natural environment, as is our intelligence, and the way in which we intelligently interact with the environment, can breed, in the context of freedom, an atmosphere of harmony, which the Pope spoke about right at the end of that statement, rather than the kind of class struggle and class division that has been put forth by various Marxists and neo-Marxists.
No, I agree with you. And by the way, I was given erroneous information that your group was unhappy with the upcoming encyclical, and I apologize for that. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. But again, this Pope, we've had people on, Bill Donahue and others who have said that, this Pope is kind of wades into things and lacks a certain clarity. And do you fear at least that because of the, no pun intended, the climate surrounding climate change and the issue where you have a president of the United States and other world leaders who say there is no debate, the debate is over, and then doesn't then the Pope have to be careful that he doesn't look like he's coming down on their side, so to speak?
Oh yes, and on these prudential matters that you're addressing, that is the tendency of the Pope to speak off the cuff, the wading into issues that have a broader significance depending on the country that they're being addressed in. These are matters. I think, for instance, that had I been asked, and I wasn't, whether the Pope should address the joint session of Congress, I would have said no. Why? Because it lends a whole political atmosphere to whatever he's going to say in the Congress. There's no way the Pope is going to come out of that chamber without people putting a political spin on it, whether to the right or to the left. And I think the Pope is visiting us not as the head of Vatican City State, not as a politician, not as a monarch, but as a pastor, as a bishop.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Reverend Sirico, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much. And again, sorry for the misunderstanding at the beginning.
I absolve you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. No, folks, it's going to be very interesting to see what the encyclical says. And again, I just hope neither side tries to grab it and run with it and say, see, like the Pope said, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's the place for it, but I fear that one way or another that will be what happens. Ed Morrissey, columnist for HotAir.com, joins us next. Stay where you are on the Steve Malzberg Show.